What's going on is surprising many of us. I'm just overwhelmed with excitement and gratitude and a feeling of acceleration with what's come into the world. 2025, it just feels like this is the fulcrum pivotal year. And I thought it was going to be a couple of years ago, but it wasn't. But all of these things sort of germinate in the market, and then they accelerate, and then they're there, and arrival happens. And I think we're in that moment right now. I just got an email about NVIDIA, and I see the same pattern everywhere, but it's just looks different. And with NVIDIA, the idea is about how do we give money to everybody in the company, not just the people who think like we do. And that's the old thinking. So I started thinking of it as technology founder mode. So the idea that we're brilliant, you help us, and we'll give you some crumbs, like maybe profit sharing of some sort, or we'll give you a crumb of options that are worthless, but not equity. No, that only goes to us. And I'm not giving up equity in the entrepreneur experience platform. I'm including profit sharing. So the founding team gets profit sharing, and it's not about the brain or the type of expertise. It doesn't make any difference. Everybody's valuable. The blueprint of humanity comes together in a new form, and the company expands from that. Everyone needs to get a piece of it. And I'm talking about everybody involved. Every single member, partner, collaborator that gets involved with us will get a piece of it. I'm not talking about equity legally. I'm not even talking about quarterly profit sharing. That's only for the core 12 founding team. But I'm talking about a profit, a piece of the profits based on impact. There's no employees, and there's no agencies, there's no consulting firms, there's no investors, and there never will be, because we don't need them. Some companies are doing this at scale with big money. I just mentioned one. Others, like me, are doing it, which will scale big, but in the garages and the basements and the ateliers of the world on our own without people noticing. Takes a few years, but it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to take 20 years. So there's myths. There's myths in our economy today. There's still myths. And for example, overnight success takes 20, 30 years. Says who? It's a myth. Not today. Technology is free. We don't even pay Discord. We'll boost Nitro. We'll upgrade to Nitro at some point. We don't need to. I was in Welo's pilot, the video metaverse company. I didn't pay for, I think, 8 months. Now we're paying. And they did a custom campus for us. Can you imagine being able to do that on your own 5 years ago? You couldn't even do it with you couldn't do it. High level. I think we're paying, because we have a partner doing it, at $15 a month for high level. The entire infrastructure of marketing the company is like $15 a month. And we don't have to deal with all these micro point solutions that are such a nightmare. It's all integrated. And I can't manage this. But with this team, there's always someone who can. And we have people paying now, joining workshops and stuff like this. And we had this guy, Chris, who's like, I'm really good at technology. I know how to build websites, infrastructure. I know how to simplify complexity. He says, I'll help out. Done. We got the structure. Let's integrate you. Now I don't have to pay for technologists to come in and do. This is the change. And this impacts on the attention economy, the marketing economy. It's already changed. And as people go to Substack, LinkedIn went corporate this year. So we built LinkedIn for LinkedIn. And I mean I was part of it. So back in 2012, I was pioneering and innovating in LinkedIn using social selling, and it worked. And I created a company that still exists that I own. I have a stake in it now. I've given up equity, a lot of equity to not have to work in it for 5 years. And then I did it again, and many of us back in 2018, 2019, and then 2020, it really took off. Personal branding, authority marketing, creating a stage, signature stage. I did it for a few years. I created a private group called the Summit Club. I had 40, 50, 70 people join, and they were influential. They had their own big networks, and I did joint products with people. We went on Clubhouse, did this for a few years, and now it's corporate. We built it for the corporations. This is always like this. When I was with when I owned my distribution company in the 90s, Reebok hired us. It was our first big brand. We had a lot of boutique companies, and that was what the business ended up being built on. But Reebok hired us, and we all knew. I knew, and once you build the market for them, you're fired. That's entrepreneurship. You build the market, and you move on to the next thing. And I'm watching the LinkedIn people go on Substack now, and this is what I'm talking about. And but I saw John Cleese on Substack, and I'm like, okay, I don't know if this is going to work the way you think. Because what is good content? Is good content marketing content? I don't know if I'd place a bet on that with John Cleese in the room. So if you don't know who John Cleese is, it's Monty Python. He was the founder, along with the other group. They were founders. They founded a company. It was a new way of doing TV in the UK, and the BBC wasn't paying any attention to them. There's a great documentary about it. If they were paying attention, they wouldn't have let him do it. But they were doing gardening shows, and it was like sound asleep. The British Broadcasting Corporation was sound asleep. So John Cleese is on Substack, and I'm reading his stuff, and I'm like, why would I read anybody else? If you got John Cleese, why would I learn economics from somebody just who writes about economics? There's some of the best economists in the world now are writing on Substack, and this is true with everything. So people with big accomplishments are showing up on Substack. So to try to get a bigger stack to make money on Substack, they're not even going to make money, most of them, because it's not a good business model to make money from content. But they have money sources from other things they do. And we can too as individuals. But it's not going to happen by being popular on an ad network like YouTube owned by Google, or anything by Meta like Facebook. Definitely no longer LinkedIn, owned by Microsoft. I don't care how you do it, it's not going to work. And Substack's already there, I think. So I'm seeing people doing this, and I'm like, that newsletter and that audience you built, the chances of you getting that past 30, 40, 100 grand a month are remote. And even to get to 5 grand a month stable income, not likely. You can do that easier by doing almost anything else. So the idea is, then what? So I had somebody on Substack, they're like, well, then what? So you're saying this, then what do we do? Well, I'll tell you. So we are not scaling content, we're scaling collaboration. And it happens automatically. When you find your voice, your product, and your people, you expand from that core group. You don't have to market anymore. I was in a joint venture mastermind group for a year. Good one. Top joint venture kind of people. Not the very top. That's Tony Robbins, Russell Brunson, Grant Cardone. They use a joint venture model. And so do the LinkedIn celebrities that have moved to Substack. They use a joint venture model too, because they're helping each other on the stage, share audience. They're doing this together. Now that's evolved to bringing other people into it as equals. And I see that happening with some of these people who've left LinkedIn and gone on to Substack. They're starting to do events and bring people in. What I see is the end of the attention economy altogether, because people want an equal seat at the table. Don't tell me what to do is my attitude. And I think more and more people are like that. And I've been in so many personal development groups that the difference between sitting in a room with a facilitation group that's mastered how to run a group like this, where you're equal. We are equal. And it's not like they're teaching me. They're not teaching me anything. We're sharing with each other from our experience. That's coming into the business world. It already has. But you got to get good at your thing. John Cleese, his writing is unbelievable. And it's like little koans. And I'm like, I cannot believe this guy's this good. Of course he's this good. You can be this good. That's the point. But you got to find your own voice. You have to find your own voice. And when you do that, your collaboration group can form and you can start a company together and not take money. Now, you don't have to do it that way. You can be a solopreneur. And that's still possible, but it'll be hard to get past 5, 10 grand a month. And it'll be hard to make it stable. Even if you're a copywriter, because now copywriting's over. You're not going to succeed as a copywriter because of the AI. Anybody who knows how to train AI to be creative has a brilliant copywriter. You can tell it Eugene Schwartz's book. You just throw Eugene Schwartz's book into the AI and say AI copyright on these topics. Anybody can do that. That means it won't work in the market. Warren Buffett talks about this a lot. Build a moat around your company. What's the moat? Originality is the moat. You can't steal somebody's creative originality. You can copy their content. So the content economy, the influencer economy, putting content out there to build an audience with income coming after that is dead. What does work, I know this, I'm watching it, doing it, is being an original creator like an artist. And you want a roadmap, not my, this isn't me. I didn't make this stuff up. You want a roadmap. I'm just doing it. You want a roadmap. Rick Rubin wrote a book called The Creative Act. There's the roadmap. That is coming to business. Accountants can do this. Anybody. Plumbers. My strategy includes, I would say our strategy. It's my ideas, and now it's everybody's ideas. I had to give up control. That's hard as a founder to give up control. You have to give up control 100%. And that's new. That's different. But it's necessary or it won't work. It's too complex today to do it yourself. And if you're the founder and you're holding tight to the vision, it'll never happen in this world. Not this world. Unless you have big money. But then it fails. Because if you're measuring success only based on metrics like money and market success, you're missing the point because that's not success. And this is why getting more attention won't save your business. It not only won't save the business you have, it won't allow you to build a new one. Not in this economy. Where are we in the market? So in Hollywood, they're talking about this. There's a great thing on which station? I don't know if it's Netflix, but Seth Godin, Seth Rogen. Seth Rogen. He's making fun of he's not even making fun. I think it's kind of sad. He's like, please fix this, is what I did the show. It's about Hollywood and why they can't make decent movies anymore. And the answer is the audience. And that's it. It's the audience's fault because they won't watch decent movies because nobody can sit still and pay attention. They're addicted to bad information and bad movies. And they love movies. And he plays this really kind of insecure studio exec who can't stand up to the suits. And he knows if I do that, I'll just get fired and they'll replace me. And he's right. But he wants to be a filmmaker and he's not. So he can't do anything right anymore. So he can't be a suit, but he also can't be a filmmaker. And they're all sick of him. Because they're like, just get out of the way, dude. We're shooting a film here. You're messing everything up. Because he's not as good as they are. So it's almost like he doesn't need to exist. That's what's next to me, is people who care about movies, making the movies together, sharing the money, figuring out how to do it profitably with new business models. That's not my industry, but I think it's going to happen in every industry. And the Entrepreneur Experience platform is part of it. So we're there. We have the infrastructure to help do this. One of our founders is going to open she already got the lease work. We're starting to work out the lease. And there's somebody in our group who can help her do that, another founder. Otherwise, it would be hard for her to do it. One of our founders is an attorney and an expert in business structures. And as this health center, I'm going to put a big name to it, health center, wellness center, healing center, opens in LA, many of them won't make it because they're marketing on Google. It won't work anymore. It's commoditized and they charge by the hour. So the owner and the people working there are exhausted. Not this one, because it's going to connect into the global campus we've got. And there'll be a local group in LA structured around our infrastructure based on concepts of groups, regions, and zones. So all of a sudden now you got a healthcare or wellness and fitness group, and they're working together. You don't need Google anymore. And they're filling up the center. And then the people who come in the center, they're not just getting like a treatment. They're part of a global ecosystem that we've got that would include a mindset room, mindset coach. It would include an energy healing approach. It would include Invincibility Dojo every day, which is about breath, invincibility, and being in the world. It would include that, not just what they're doing in LA. They get everything. And it costs almost nothing. So you can make it affordable and they can make money. So somebody could go to the healing center in LA and they'd be a partner. So they can send their friends and they get a piece of it. 20% if anybody pays. You build a circle, you build a kernel. There's a guy wrote a book, the best strategy book I've ever read, Good Strategy, Bad Strategy, Richard Rummel. He talks about the kernel. The kernel has to be strong. If the kernel hasn't formed organically, you end up with something like Google that took money and they ruined the company. And now we see the result. The kernel wasn't strong. The kernel was strong. They were doing it right. They figured out the cloud storage thing. That was a big issue. They figured it out. They figured out how to do it cheaply. They figured out the algorithmic wisdom of crowds approach, voting on the best content, the best website. That fell apart over a few years. And now, look what we've got. Most founders are starting to realize that attention without alignment does not convert. So you can do all this all you want, but it won't lead to real realization of vision today because you're misaligned with where the creative intelligence and energy is going in the economy. You're going the wrong way if you're trying to get attention. And it's not just the platforms have changed, it's the people have on the platforms. They don't want to be targeted. And everyone understands. They don't understand like I do how an ad network works because I was in the industry. But they know it's wrong. They feel it. They just know when they're on Facebook or Google or YouTube, there's something wrong here. But I use it because I like it and I need it. Same with Amazon. People don't understand how dynamic pricing works. They know there's something wrong on Amazon. And they know if you publish a book on Amazon, they take 40%. They know there's something wrong with that. However, people want to be seen. How can you be seen if you're in the audience? Why is everyone opinionating all the time and pushing all this stuff through their social media from their couch? Because they want to be heard. They want to be seen. What if you get people away out of the audience? Give them an equal seat at the table. That's what we've done. You don't have to ask a question. You're part of the conversation in our groups. The truth, as an entrepreneur, a business owner, a coach, a consultant, doesn't matter what you do. You don't need more reach. You need connection, real connection. This is going on in Substack right now. I watch the numbers tick up for people. 1,000 followers that don't care at all. I had to release myself from that prison because I was in it. 2018, 2019, 2020. I'm looking at my numbers obsessively on LinkedIn, and I started a LinkedIn connection group to boost my numbers and everybody else, and it worked. And and then yeah, we don't have to do that anymore. Get good. Get good. They'll find you. You'll find each other. It happens automatically. You don't have to chase attention. And it's not what people want. They want to connect. So, what happens after you stop chasing attention? I'll get into 5 specific things that you can think about. So, we're talking about why attention-based funnels are collapsing across industries. Attention-based funnels are collapsing because the kinds of people who can't pay attention are the worst customers. They are absolutely addicted to their mind contents. They're just stuck and they're in fear and they're in pain. They're attracted by marketing hooks and marketing and disruption. And it's almost like a self reinforcing loop because the more they go there, the more the algorithm sends them more of that. And the more the marketing people see that in their numbers, and then they say, oh, it's working. It's not, but they think it is. So they keep going. So you got this going on, this spiraling downward spike into the ground. And that's not where the money is going to be. No, not anymore. That's a big shift. 2, the core difference between attention and alignment is important. Alignment means resonance. Alignment means synchronicity is happening. When I know myself and I've worked through my stuff, my frequency of how I communicate changes. It's happened to me. I see it happening to everybody in our group and around the world. It's not just me. Again, we're not making this stuff up. This is how it works. The frequency shifts. What happens? Synchronicity. Do I force that through marketing? I can't. It's the opposite. I have to allow it to happen. Alignment. My content that I write is about alignment. It's not marketing, and it hasn't been since probably I stopped doing the marketing stuff in probably 2023. It hasn't been like that since. And I don't think about what will work. Don't think about what will work when you're doing this. And I look at it sometimes afterwards and I'm like, well, that didn't work. I'm like, okay, that's good. I did it. Why did I learn from that? Why did I need to do that? It made me stronger. That's why. Collaborative design scales faster than content. We haven't even started this yet, but collaborative design with your people behind the scenes is going to scale fast because you have big networks. Everybody knows people. It doesn't matter how many people you know, they know other people who know other people who know other people. When you have collaborative design, where you have something of significant value, not something to sell that costs money that delivers value. That's old thinking. I'm talking about something that has significant value. For example, I had an Uber driver. She's brilliant. And she's telling me about her entrepreneur idea. She's an Uber driver. She's not an Uber driver. Sorry. She worked for an enterprise. She picked me up. And I got her number. I gave her a hug afterwards. I'm like, we got to connect. She's like, we do. I hate enterprise. It's terrible. Used to be a great company. Now she's exhausted. I'm going to give her a QR code, 20%. If people pay for a workshop or a group or join or whatever, local chapter. And it's renewable every year when they pay again. Why wouldn't she do that? She doesn't have to do anything. Infrastructure allows for this. That's key. That is hard to do. It's not typical affiliate stuff. That's different. That's different. That's push marketing. We don't have to do that anymore. I would not allow this to happen if I didn't feel a connection with her around what she cares about. I wouldn't do it with her. You have to curate who you allow in. That's collaborative design. That's going to scale faster than trying to cut through the YouTube Substack or Instagram algorithms. The mindset shift that rebuilt my business from connection, not persuasion, came from an inner journey of ignoring the market. I unplugged from cable in 2008. I unplugged from my phone apps, particularly the news ones, in 2020. Yeah, 2020. And then I unplugged in 2023 from the social media content and the business performance industry. I call it the how to improve yourself industry. I unplugged and I plugged in wisdom information. So I got off of all this. I'm not saying I'm not there. So there's a difference between attachment and detachment. Detached noticing is not the same as learning from. I wasn't learning from any of these people anymore starting in early 2023 because I realized they're teaching me old thinking and I already know what they're saying. I ran an event for 3 years. After a while, almost every speaker sounded the same across every industry, whether it was productivity, marketing, sales performance, mindset. I'm like, you're all saying exactly the same thing to me. So I thought, this is a group think, old thinking. What's next? And then in 2023, early 2023, I think I had to shut this off because my mind's all confused. I'm not a consumer of short form content ever. And I haven't been. I have never been, but I really unplugged it. Now I'm plugged back in. So I went back out and I said, okay, now I got to start reading this stuff again. This was early this year, a few months ago, probably just a few months ago. I'm like, I got to start reading what they're saying again, as opposed to just saying, here's what I want to say. Because now I want to connect as opposed to just experiment. That's where I'm at. The future of brand building beyond followers, engagement, or algorithms is what has already happened. And the future of brand building is from purpose. So I was talking to somebody yesterday. He's a top B2B community builder. And we met back in 2019, really connected around his ideas and what I was doing. And we met up, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. And he's like, I don't get what you're doing. It doesn't resonate with me. He says, what we're focusing on is building a Dharma-based business. And I'm like, what are you talking about? That's exactly what I'm doing. And then he got it. And then we could really talk. Dharma is your work, the purpose. Forget about all the Buddhism. It doesn't matter. It's just a word to explain it because we don't have a good word in English for this. But what it really is inner directed. There's not a good word. Dharma is a better word. It's the lesson. My lesson is about resourcefulness and overcoming a feeling of I can't do it. I can do it. So I overcame it. So I learned my lesson. That's a karmic pathway. You have to go through the karma to learn the Dharma, to learn the lesson. So I won't get into all the Buddhism stuff because it's too complicated and you don't need to know. So the future of brand building is that. In other words, it comes from purpose. Where's the purpose? It's inside me. My Dharma is inside me. I'm the only one who can discover it. Where's my karma? Same. What's my karmic work? Well, I know that. Can anyone else? No. That's the work. That gets you out of followers, engagement, and algorithms, and it won't work. And it's a pro game. So if you look at these people who succeeded on YouTube, they have agencies and they're spending 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 grand a month to keep it going. I don't even think it's going to work for them in a few years because I think the industry is going to collapse. Now, this is the part most people never get to is because they're too busy trying to be visible. And this is what was happening to me until I realized this, I got to stop doing this, is I was focusing on how do I get seen on LinkedIn? How do I get the right partners? How do I build the joint ventures? How do I get my stage working? I'm worried about how many people showed up for the event and do I have enough people on my LinkedIn that are going to come and then how many are going to convert and how many are going to pay. I spent my entire life doing this kind of stuff. And I thought, my Dharma is not to do this. It's to be resourceful. So I don't have to do any of that anymore. And that became obvious. If you're busy trying to be visible, will you get what you want? And if the answer is yes, then that's what you're supposed to be doing. However, the question is, are you trying to become visible, or are you naturally, organically visible because you are existing in purpose, dharma, working through karma? If that's the case, that's totally different from I'm trying to figure it out. It's the opposite, in fact. Visibility isn't the point, shared creation is. And if you're done chasing metrics and ready to build momentum with others who actually care, this is what we're all talking about, and we're actually doing it. We're not just sharing our opinions about it.